Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're discussing the Patek Philippe 3970p, 36.5 millimeters in platinum 950 with black dial. You can see this Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar chronograph and purchase it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch with additional accessories included in the sale, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Patek Philippe 3970p in platinum. Now, the watch on my wrist is a significant piece because it represents a relatively late and hugely desirable iteration of the roughly 1986 to 2004 Patek Philippe 3970 Perpetual Calendar chronograph. The timepiece features what's known as the third generation dial, and sometimes these are referred to, this specific iteration, as a fourth generation because they come with a different serial number series and a full platinum clasp. In this case, the full clasp and the different serial number series in conjunction with the baton indices and baton-style hands create an aesthetic distinctly different from the early 3970s, a little bit sharper, a little bit sportier, and in combination with this white metal black dial tandem, the watch has an outsized presence despite being traditional in size at 36.5 millimeters. Let's do what we can to improve the focus and talk about the fit of the case. Now, 36.5 millimeters is not going to overwhelm any conventional male wrist. This is a very versatile option for those who do have smaller arms like myself, because the watch is a Patek Philippe Grand Complication. It doesn't need any size to boast gravitas. It has that automatically. It's also very wearable in terms of its profile because it's not as thick as it appears. 13 millimeters, but with a generously sloped bezel, crystal, and case flank, it will slide underneath not just the suit jacket cuff, but also the dress sleeve beneath. It just has that wonderful ramp-like profile that allows this to happen. And from lug to lug, you expected it to be compact, and you would be correct, as the watch measures a very reasonable 43.3 millimeters across the wrist. I would endorse this watch for male wrists as small as 13 centimeters in circumference. Really, any wrist of 13 centimeters in circumference, this watch is going to look and fit the business. The other thing I like about the watch is that there's no constraint in the movement of the strap. It's full floating. You can pull it straight down around the tight curve of a smaller wrist. And you'll note how the lugs are generously downward tapered. The watch was designed to fit well on anyone in any occasion. The strap is substantial, although simple. It's a matte black alligator leather, minimally bolstered with a sheer edge, monotone stitch, calfskin on the underside, and again, we're talking about one of the later 3970s with the third series dial, so we do have the full deployant clasp in matching platinum with a filigree style Calatrava cross buckle. A handsome complement to the watch and a nice counterweight. Also, in as much as it is far more substantial than the earlier pin buckles, it helps the watch to boast a more impressive mass in the hand and on the wrist. The case is in excellent shape, and that's something I really can't overemphasize, as many of these watches sadly have been over refinished. So to be able to see crisp, fluted shoulders to the lugs is to say the watch is essentially as it left Geneva. This is how it's supposed to be. Not rounded, not dulled, not slurred into one plane from the tops to the flanks. There should be a distinct step, and you can see this watch, all four lugs, you have exactly that. Now, that sharp crease line continues into the case band. As you'll note, the mid-case distinctly separate from the bezel in the case back. The watch is not lacking for character lines, and it's a handsome combination of sensuous curves and strong linear definitions. The linear definitions are most clear in profile, and when you view it from a 3/4 angle or from head-on, you get a better sense of the curvature, including the concave profile of the bezel, which allows the watch to appear a little bit slimmer even than it is. Now, you'll notice on the underside, all of the hallmarks beautifully crisp and intact. We'll talk a little bit more about the movement in a moment. And on the dial side, let's get really close and try to focus. You can see that this is about as sharp and strident and imperious as a Patek Philippe dial gets in the sub 40 millimeter size range. It's a beautiful glossy black with white gold dart or baton style indices, faceted and diamond polished with matching baton style hands, likewise in gold at center. You have concentric registers at 9 o'clock for your 24-hour scale, so you have the AM/PM indicator as well as the danger zone indicator, so you know when not to use these pusher adjusters to manually set the calendar. You also have 60 seconds, constant seconds running. You'll note that there is a second scale directly opposed at 3 o'clock that features both the leap year cycle indicator and 30 minutes of chronograph action, a radial date at 6 o'clock, and inboard a crescent-style moon phase with a beautiful midnight blue moon disk, and of course apertures for the day and the month at 12 o'clock. Now you'll note that the watch is not running, and that's because I want to call attention to a significant feature of the watch's movement that I almost always reference but rarely show during these videos, and that is the gyromax style balance. We'll start the watch up in a second, but here you can appreciate how these small circular nuts, the gyromax balance bolts, are turned inward or outward to increase or decrease the polar moment of the balance. This is how the timing is set, how adjustments to speed up or slow down the movement are made on a gyromax style free-sprung Patek Philippe balance. You'll note the same thing on, for example, Audemars Piguet's caliber 3120. This is an early free-sprung architecture that Patek debuted for production in the first half of the 1950s. It's both more shock resistant and more precise, allowing for immaculate regulation in all positions if paired in tandem with a Breguet overcoil hairspring, which is what this watch has. So you have both gyromax for fine adjustment and shock resistance, as well as the overcoil hairspring for resistant to positionally induced timing deviation, which is why Patek stamps this movement adjusted in 8 positions. So all of the 6 standard positions of a rigorous timing test, basically the 5 chronometer positions plus 1 more, plus heat and cold, and thus Patek using the odd nomenclature 8 positions stamped on the movement. Now you'll note that the watch is also stamped Poinçon de Genève, as all of these 3970s were made in the era before the Patek Philippe seal, which was phased in roughly mid-2009. What you're looking at fundamentally is a Lemania Abauche. It's the 2310 that went to the moon as the Omega caliber 321, but highly modified. It becomes the Patek Philippe CH2770, and in the 3970 it is the CH2770/155. 24 jewels manually wound. When fully wound, it has roughly a 48-hour power reserve, and it beats away at a stately 18,000 vibrations per hour, which you're about to see now. It doesn't hack, but it has almost every manual and, as you can see, manually applied flourish of finish that you would expect in a traditional chronograph caliber. Poinçon de Genève, you'll note just how perfectly finished is every edge, beveled, rounded, and mirrored. You can see the gleaming anglage of every surface flank. And you'll also note, as I move the watch between flush and angled away from the camera, how many surfaces turn from shiny silver to jet black. This is showing you, for example, all of the screw heads, which are black polished to the highest optical standard. Although it's a little bit difficult to discern because there isn't much visible, there is a perfectly aligned Côte de Genève across the bridges. Most of the bridges covered here. Rest assured, it's there and it is beautiful. Textured, ridged edge to edge, not stamped but applied with an abrasive wheel. Likewise, you'll note a fully jeweled chronograph drivetrain. This is conventionally something that involves bushings rather than jewels on most manufacturers. Patek Philippe cutting no corners here, giving you a jeweled lateral clutch, and we may as well operate the lateral clutch for your viewing pleasure. This is why you want a lateral clutch and a manual wind chronograph caliber rather than an automatic and a more modern vertical clutch, because you get the ability to see and enjoy everything from the driving wheel moving into and out of contact with the chronograph center, to the interaction of the levers and horns with the capped column wheel, to the reset hammers that recenter the chronograph registers. All is laid bare on a manual wind watch. No secrets. This is a watch that communicates its beauty as well as its technical proficiency. You can see this rare late Patek Philippe 3970p in platinum with black dial, platinum case, perfect lug and bezel definition, and a full platinum clasp, and take it home on our website.